mind unwind. David Miller, Mike Killer, stories intertwined. Color so slick, you'll swear it's a movie. Insightful, delightful, laid back and groovy. Miller time, get ready to roll. David's got the knowledge, gonna stir your soul. Press play, no delay, let's ride this wave. Miller time, prime time, wisdom, healing, crave.
Well, it's Sunday, and you know what that means. It's an opportunity for people who live in Atlanta to watch a football team absolutely just combust on a field against a team that was 2-7, 2-9. I don't even know. All I know is they had 2 wins. Another Sunday, another Falcons letdown. And we talked about it last week where people were like, oh, Kirk Cousins, we're coming through the stretch of the season where you're going to play teams that you can get wins off of, the Saints, the Jets. Well, guess what? That lasted 1 week. 1 week where everyone was talking that way. Like, oh, you're going to get a win. You're going to get a win. And then we got the Jets. And then you should beat the Jets. But you don't beat the Jets, do you? No. You find a way, and that's what this team does, is they find a way to lose. Now, how many people, I want a show of hands here, show of hands, how many people, when Tyrod Taylor went in the fourth quarter to tie the game up against the Falcons late in the fourth quarter, how many people actually thought the Falcons were going to find a way to win that game? Raise your hands. If you're raising your hand, you're a liar. I know you don't believe that because at that very moment, we've all seen this play out. We see this every single Sunday. Falcons have a lead. Falcons blow a lead. Falcons have a lead. Falcons blow the lead. And this is just a common theme, right? And if Raheem Morris is the coach of the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow, then this tells me everything I need to know about this ownership and about this franchise. They're fine with mediocrity. And in fact, they're not even mediocrity, whatever you want to call it. They're not even mediocre. They're horrible. Absolutely horrible, this franchise. And we've talked about it. Raheem Morris, nice guy, great defensive coordinator. You have to go. You just have to go. I questioned the hire from the get-go. Why are we hiring this guy? He didn't do so well in Tampa Bay. He was an interim coach whenever we fired Dan Quinn. He had an opportunity. Apparently, we didn't like him enough then. But yet 2 or 3 years later, we like him. Well, that's because you're out in L.A. with Sean McVay and a Hall of Fame quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And yeah, it looks good then. And a Hall of Fame defensive player in Aaron Donald. So yeah, you look good. You come to Atlanta, same old, same old. We've seen this. And Arthur Blank, I just, please, if you find this, if you hear this, he's a nice guy, but he has to go. He has to go. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to admit we were wrong in this hire. All right? It's okay to sit back and punt. We can punt now. Yes, 2 years in, this isn't working. Zach Robinson isn't working. Raheem Morris isn't working. Jeff Albright, he's the only one that I actually like. Keep him. Defense has actually improved. But then we find a way at the end where defense finds ways to let teams like that have Tyrod Taylor beat you. And that has to go. And then you see teams like Carolina go out and beat the 8-2 LA Rams with Matthew Stafford. It's beyond my understanding, my comprehension. This franchise, I'm sorry that I wear the shirt. They're terrible. I watch it every Sunday. I shouldn't watch it every Sunday. I've said it before. It's a sickness. It's a disease. And I wish there was a cure for it. And there may be a cure. If you fire this regime, get rid of the coach, get rid of the general manager, you got a clean house. This whole organization is a mess, and something needs to happen. Arthur Blank, please, Mr. Blank, if you're listening to this, you have to cut ties with Raheem Morris. It just isn't going to work. It isn't. And it's sad, but this is where we are. So another Sunday, another chance for the Falcons to blow a lead late in the game, blow it. It's beyond comprehension how this team finds ways to lose games. Muff punt, don't get stops. We drop passes. I can't blame Kirk Cousins. I really can't. He actually played good enough to win. But when you have guys like David Sills dropping passes, you have guys like Darnell Mooney dropping passes on key third down, plays that could extend drives and maybe get you closer to field goal range to maybe actually win a game. You can't have that. So I feel sorry for Kirk Cousins. He's stuck in this franchise. He actually played good enough to win today. He did enough, but this franchise, unless we make a change at the top, unless Raheem goes, it's just same old, every single Sunday. Same old. So that was Sunday, right? But let's talk a little bit about what's happening next week. So again, the Falcons play in Mercedes-Benz, and it's not much to watch. And they're going to play next week in Mercedes-Benz against a Seattle team who will destroy us, okay? But hopefully the day before on Saturday, there'll actually be some good football that you can actually watch. So guess what? In the Iron Bowl, Alabama took care of business, and they beat Auburn in a close game like I predicted. I thought it would be a close game, and it was. They beat them 27-20. And really, if Auburn had if that quarterback could have made some more accurate throws, one, he was a little inaccurate, but two, the time that he was accurate, if he actually had receivers who could catch and hold on to the football, could have been a different game. However, credit to Alabama and Kalen DeBoer and what they've done to get back and to get into the SEC championship game and have another opportunity to play Georgia, which they've beaten time and time again. In fact, I was doing my research, had my research and development team look this stat up for me because I just couldn't believe this. The last 10 times that Alabama and Georgia has played, Alabama has beaten Georgia 9 of those 10 times. And this dates back to December 1st, 2012. So we're talking 13 years. In 13 years, the Georgia Bulldogs have beaten Alabama one time. And thank goodness that one time was actually for a national championship. But that blows my mind when I saw that stat, that Georgia had one win in 13 years and 10 opportunities against Alabama. And before, as a Georgia fan, you thought, oh, it's the Saban thing. It's Nick Saban. It's not Nick Saban. It's just Alabama. For some reason, Kirby Smart, or I don't know what it is, but Georgia cannot find ways to beat Alabama. They have another opportunity next week to maybe right the wrong, to rewrite some history, and maybe start the playoffs on the right foot. However, as big as a Georgia fan that I am, and you see it all behind me, as big as a Georgia fan that I am, I have to go back to the nature boy, Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. In Georgia, you just haven't beat the man consistently enough for me to predict you to win this game. So if it were me, if I'm betting money on it, which I do not bet money because I would lose every single time, and I don't encourage that at all. But if I were to bet money, I would not be betting on my beloved Georgia Bulldogs. I wouldn't. That would be foolish of me to do that. One time in 10 opportunities in 13 years, you've beaten this team. And I know every game is different, right? But somehow at the end of every single game, it seems to be the same old story. Georgia is just a little bit short. Just comes up a little bit short. And I hope, as a men, we don't like to be wrong. But this is one chance that I hope that I'm wrong in this prediction. I hope that Georgia finds a way to get the monkey off the back, to beat Alabama, to go into the college football playoff. You beat Alabama, you're probably the 2 seed going into the playoffs, because whoever wins between Ohio State and Indiana, the winner is number 1. The loser is going to drop down to maybe 3 or 4. Probably 3, I would think. If Georgia wins, you're going to 2. So you love that. And if you had told me at the beginning of the season, the way we started, the way that we looked defensively, looking at the schedule, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, on the road at Auburn, on the road at Tennessee, if you'd have told me this team could be 12-1, win an SEC championship game, and be number two into college football playoff rankings, I would say, give me that every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I hope that's the case. But you got to beat the monster. You got to beat Alabama and get them off your back, and hopefully you can, right? Hopefully you can. but there's still so much to even talk about with this college football playoffs. Next weekend, Championship Saturday, could decide so much. One scenario I saw was you look at the ACC, and my goodness, what a garbage conference the ACC is. I'm sorry if you're in the ACC, but you cannot have Duke and Virginia representing you in the ACC championship. You cannot have Duke and Virginia represent you in the ACC championship game when you have a team like Miami who's finishing 10-2. You just can't. I don't know how that happened, but it did, and this is absolutely a disgrace. And to a fact, there's a real possibility, apparently, if you look at the rules of the college football playoffs, if Duke were to win this game, and they're a 5-loss team, if Duke were the ACC representative, if they win the ACC championship game, there's a chance the ACC is left out of the playoffs. And teams like either North Texas or Tulane will find their way in. Or James Madison, North Texas, Tulane. How does that happen? Thank you, ACC, for allowing those opportunities, because you got teams like Duke and Virginia representing you. And then you got a team like Miami who's 10-2, who I guarantee you, if they were getting the playoffs, nobody wants to face that team. You just don't. They're too talented. I know their record may not show it and they've been inconsistent, but they are talented across the board. If they get in, you don't want to face a team like that. All right. Crazy to think what all can happen next weekend. Teams like Vandy still have a chance to get into the playoffs. There's an outside chance that Miami gets into the playoffs. Texas and Steve Sarkisian is begging and promoting, can Texas get into the playoffs? So much to play out next Saturday. And we'll see how that goes. And then, and let's not forget, now you have Ole Miss without a coach. Lane Kiffin. During the Iron Bowl, we're watching the Iron Bowl. And during the Iron Bowl, at halftime, you have Marty Smith. Poor Marty Smith is sitting there begging Lane Kiffin, can you please just make a decision here? I haven't eaten all day. Can you make a decision? He's trying to get a decision from Lane Kiffin. This is at 10:30 at night. This is halftime, 10 o'clock at night, halftime of the Iron Bowl. And they're talking about Lane Kiffin. They're meeting with Ole Miss. He may catch a flight in the morning to go to Baton Rouge. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And so the next morning it becomes official. Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss, a team that is 11-1, a team that is going to be in the playoffs, and a team that has a surefire shot of being a national championship team. He is leaving them to go to LSU. I never feel sorry for like other SEC teams, but I truly do feel sorry for those players on Ole Miss. You went out and you won 11 games, and the one game you lost was on the road against a team like Georgia, and you had Georgia on the ropes. You did. And now you're going to be in the playoffs, and everything's going great, everything's going grand, and your coach says, nope, gone. Going where the money is. Hey, I get it. That's where the money is. I understand that, but you're leaving these kids who have fought and clawed and worked summers in the heat to get to a point where they are today, and now you decide to abandon ship. And not only that, you're bringing people with you. You're bringing your OC, Charlie Weiss. You're bringing him. I think the DC is going to stay. He's going to be now the head coach of Ole Miss. I don't know if I agree with that, but he'll be the head coach of Ole Miss going forward. But these guys, I just feel sorry for them. I still feel sorry for these players who have busted their tails to get to this point, and their coach and their OC decide to leave in the middle of a playoff run, what could be a special year. And now, who knows? Who knows? So a lot to get to and a lot to look forward to next weekend for Championship Saturday, and I can't wait for all of it. So, hey, let's get to our verse of the day. Oh, man. So this comes from Ephesians 4:32. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. So be kind, love one another, forgive each other, because Christ forgave you. So, if there's only two things that you can do today, love God and love one another. But if there's only one thing that you can do today, love someone the way that Christ loved you. Thanks again.